Welcome to the Rusted Garden Homestead. This video is all about winter sowing. I did a video introducing that. I will put that in the video description. But today I'm going to show you what I'm using to winter sow, and then I'm going to go upstairs, seed everything. We do leafy greens, kales, the Brassica families, cabbages, broccoli, and some flowers. I will show you how to do that, maybe some herbs also. But this is going to be my space. Winter sowing is basically bringing your containers out with soil, starting mixing seeds, putting it out when the temperatures are still freezing. They sit outside. When the temperatures adjust, they sprout and grow. You don't need grow lights for this. And when we go upstairs, I'll show you how my grow light station is full. So I'm doing all my cool weather crops out here. In theory, you can winter sow anything, but like tomatoes, beans, peppers, won't really germinate until it's much warmer. But your cool weather crops that I just talked about can go out here perfectly. So a couple things that you can do is you can use a tote like this, something that's clear or opaque. You definitely want to put a hole up top, because if it gets warm and sunny, it could heat up in there. You also really can use any kind of container. You can use a milk jug. If that milk jug is sitting out like that, rain will get in there. You have to make sure you have drainage holes. In some cases, you don't need drainage holes. This is polycarbonate. I love this setup. I designed this last year. I have a video on it. I will drop that link in the video description. And I'm just going to slide my flats in there. They don't need drainage. I will have to water them because they're protected from the rain. But this is just a great space for warmth, for winter sowing, and I think it's going to work out really well. You've seen these before. These are great for starting plants early. It gives some frost protection, but even with that being said, we are not protecting these from freezes and frosts. The starting mix will freeze, the seeds will freeze, they can handle it, but you could use something like this also, and you could just set up all your seeds inside of here. I probably don't need this space because I'm not going to be starting 20 trays, but this would work too. And then after you use this for winter sowing, you can use this as a place to transition your plants outdoors. This is what I built. I'll probably link that video in the video description too. This is a cold frame, and I really like this. It's nice and low to the ground, keeps the heat in, and I suspect my winter sowing will germinate best right in here, and then this just covers the top. So again, I'm not worried about drainage in my containers. All right, let's go inside. We'll start with the leafy greens and we'll work our way through everything that's going to be coming out here. My seed starting station is 5 tiers, and you can see that it's full. I have all kinds of different things growing in there. Perennial herbs, flowers, some warm weather crops. Really don't have room for any more of the cool weather crops. So the first thing I want to show you is the basic setup. So I have flats. These are bigger containers. If you use bigger containers, you don't necessarily have to pot up. I have 2 flats of those, and I have another one of the smaller trays. All this is sold at my seed shop. So this is going to be my flat of leafy greens. Leafy greens would include arugula, spinach, loose leaf lettuce, heading lettuce, anything that you would consider really putting in a salad. So let's just talk about this real quick. I put the seeds down, and you can subscribe and follow me. I have plenty of videos showing you how to plant these seeds as seed starts. They get planted the same way for winter sowing. So I have arugula, 3 or 4 seeds in there. I have Bib lettuce, 3 or 4 seeds. Spinach, I'm putting in 2 seeds. And you can see that I have 3 cells set up of spinach. They're bigger. 2 seeds in there, and they'll just get pushed down about 1/4 of an inch and covered. I like spinach, so I'm doing more spinach. 3 things of arugula up here. The Bib lettuce is going across here, and then I have red sales lettuce down at the bottom, 3 or 4 seeds. You want to put in more than 1 seed in case it doesn't germinate. You can always thin them, you can divide them, you can do whatever you want. I sell all kinds of seeds at my seed shop, but if you're looking for more, I highly recommend bentleyseeds.com. I got to meet them, tour their facility, wonderful group of people, and they just have so many seeds there if you want to grow something that's not at my seed shop. So here it is, a flat of the leafy greens, 72 plants. These will go outside. I'll show you how I do that. The next one I want to set up is the kale, collards, and other brassicas. So in this group, I'm using the bigger cells. These plants are going to get larger. I want them to get a little bit bigger. So I'm doing broccoli, green sprouting, cauliflower, snowball, cabbage, red acre, cabbage flat Dutch, pak choi, a Japanese type cabbage, and kale. I'm doing a Tuscan variety. 2 or 3 seeds in each of those, and you would have to thin them to one plant, you know, as they're growing. Now, this is seed starting mix, pre-moistened, sterilized for indoor use. But when you're doing winter sowing, you can use any starting mix, pre-moisten it, any potting mix, pre-moisten it. You don't need to sterilize it because this is going outside. There's going to be nature out there, insects, etc., etc. So you don't have to over worry about sterilizing stuff that you're growing outdoors. So after this, we're going to seed start some leeks and some onions, and I'm going to save the perennial flowers and perennial herbs for another video that I'll do outside for winter sowing. So these have already been set up, 2 seeds in there, just scratch them in about 1/4 inch, press them, they're set up, they're ready to go. So let's do the leeks and the onions. Alright, so we're going to do leeks, we're going to do onions, and I'm going to show you how I'm putting these outside. And remember again, I want to stress, these are going to be undercover in the cold frame that I built. So there's no holes in the flats or the foil. If these were going to be in a place where rain was falling on them, you definitely want to have drainage holes. You don't want water sitting in these containers, but I will be able to kind of manage that. With respect to watering, I always get asked that question. It's going to vary, but probably in the winter, maybe if it warms up in some weird way, every 7 days, but really probably every 14 to 21 days, you're going to need to give this a good soaking. And when I put these outside, I'm going to soak them in with a fish emulsion, a water-soluble fertilizer, so they have nutrients sitting in there. And you might have noticed that I use paper. This says February 3rd, number 8. That gets taped on to like the side of the flat, and then I know what I'm growing. I don't have to use labels that way. You know, this is for the 12 cells, this is for the 8 cells, and then when we come to the leeks and onions, I have a video on this too. I will link that. I'm going to show you how to do it here. But I just tape in on the side what this is so that, you know, I know what I'm growing. So, foil trays, these are baking trays. Buy them wherever you want. Open up the pack of, these are going to be King Richard leeks. I love leeks. Really coarse, bigger seeds, and you just sprinkle them across the top. And actually I'm going to stretch in front of the camera here because I'm growing some inside, and this is what they end up looking like. However, grow lights, these are going to be winter sown, and you're going to get the same thing, you know, maybe a little bit smaller, but they're going to be ready to go into your garden. So once you put down the leeks, seeds, or onion seeds, it's the same thing. You just scratch them in, smooth things over, press it in, and you're good to go. Now these again don't have holes. When I put on the fish emulsion, when I water it in, I'm just not going to put a ton in there, just enough to soak through. There isn't going to be a lot of excess water sitting in there. And then the Walla Walla onions, if I can open it, look just like the leek seeds. Sprinkle them in. And now we have set these up for winter sowing. We don't need the grow lights. There's another hybrid way to do this, which I'll be doing a video on, and it will be really starting them, as you see like this, inside until they break the surface, and then they would go outside on my deck, sit outside during the day, bring them in at night. That's a different way to do this. We're not germinating these at all and then putting them outside for winter sowing because there's going to be freezing nights, frost. If we put out plants that have germinated, it's likely that that freeze and frost will kill them off. It's the seeds that can take the freeze and frost. So these are going outside winter sowing. When the temperatures get right, these will start to germinate and do their thing. The hybrid method is for later in February or March, where I'm kind of combining lighting and using the outdoors as a way to do it and get your crops ready for transplant. But I'll be doing a video on that. Alright, so these are ready to go outside. Let's go out there, show you what I'm doing. I like the cold frame I built. It's nice and low to the ground. Temperatures regulate in there. It's a great place to do winter sowing. If you don't have something like this, again, you could use any of the setups I showed you earlier and the tote flipped over it with a hole in there just to let the heat out. That will work just as well as this space. So we have 72 plants right there. We have 36 in those, and then at least 100, 100 in there and 100 in there. So this is over 300 plants, winter sown, no grow lights needed. And please subscribe. I'll show you how these are doing, how I take care of them. I'll also be winter sowing the perennial flowers, herbs, and I also am going to do the warm weather crops. Now just real quick, you don't want to splash the seeds out, but just some fish emulsion just like that. That's enough nitrogen for them to do their thing. I will leave this out, and about every 14, 21 days or so, I'll give them a little bit of water with the water-soluble fertilizer in there. So this will get covered with polycarbonate there. Winter sowing is all set up. Thanks so much for watching. Please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com. If you can't find what you need there, please check out bentleyseeds.com. Again, thanks for watching, and you can seed start without grow lights if you want to try winter sowing.